Every era of Street Fighter brings new warriors to the stage, but not all of them arrive by choice. Alex was meant to represent a new generation, strong, brash, and raw with potential. Yet his journey quickly became entangled in forces far beyond his control. The fall of Shadaloo and the rise of the secret society. Rashid, on the other hand, drifts in like a breeze. Casual, confident, and quick to joke, he doesn't seem the type to be burdened by destiny. But beneath his light-hearted charm lies a story shaped by loss, and an ancestral connection to the very society that seeks to shape the world from the shadows. Both characters encountered Ryu, the soul of the series, and walked away changed. And both may stand at the edges of greater conspiracies, potentially hinting at what's coming next. As the stage expands in Street Fighter VI, we look to these two newcomers once more. Not just in their capacity as main new heroes in the roster, but as harbingers of change. This is a story of shifting eras and unseen forces, of forgotten experiments and ancient bloodlines. This is Alex and Rashid, the new challengers. Introduced as the main character of Street Fighter III, Alex was a bold shift for the franchise. A departure from series veterans like Ryu and Ken, signaling a new era. A wrestler from New York, brash, abrasive, with a bit of a chip on his shoulder, and an imitator of Hulk Hogan. Alex wasn't trained in the disciplined ways of Ansatsuken or raised in secret halls of power. He was street tough, grounded, and deeply human. In Street Fighter V, Alex lives a quiet life in a trailer, just a guy trying to get by. Patricia, daughter of his adoptive father and mentor, Tom, brings him sandwiches, as well as an invitation letter. While reading the letter, he dozes off, only to be abducted by two Shadaloo agents. Waking up in a Shadaloo base, he is forced into simulated fights against other Street Fighters by Fong, who refers to him as Shadaloo Test Body 222222, and tells him he will now be trapped here until his final obsolescence. As Fong intensifies the simulations, Alex's raw strength begins to break through the walls of his prison. Realizing that if he continues to test Alex, his lab will be destroyed, Fong gives the order to release him. Alex then wakes up in his trailer, initially thinking it was all just a dream, until Patricia arrives and notices a fresh cut on his face. She also brings a gift from an unknown source, a chess piece with a cryptic message that it is a gift of thanks for his work at the base. Alex would only make a couple of brief appearances in Street Fighter V's main story, A Shadow Falls. First as winner of a wrestling exhibition match, he is then challenged by Zangief and Mika, before an enthusiastic Laura grabs a megaphone to announce that she will also fight as Alex's tag team partner. Later in the story, while finishing up work on his car, Dalsim appears, stating that he wants to ask him something. Alex takes him for a mugger, and a fight ensues. Dalsim asks him to calm down, and explains he is simply there to retrieve the chess piece that had been sent to him. Alex readily hands it over, saying it's no big deal. But before leaving, Dalsim tells Alex that there will be a time when he might feel the need to search for answers, and when that time comes, he must turn his eyes to the world. Alex's story continues in the Street Fighter III series, set after the events of Street Fighter V, now on a path towards vengeance. His mentor Tom has been hospitalized by a mysterious fighter named Gill, sometime before another world fighting tournament is scheduled to take place. Alex decides to enter the tournament, determined to track down the man responsible for his mentor's injuries and exact revenge. Tom attempts to dissuade him, stating that he was simply not strong enough, but it is clear that Alex is set on going. Alex finally tracks down and confronts Gill and defeats him, but he stops short of killing him. Alex simply returns home and finds that his mentor Tom has recovered from his injuries. Tom notes that Alex now has the face of a real man, having had stepped out into the world to face other challengers. But Alex feels there are even more strong fighters that he should go out into the world and face. In Third Strike, Alex follows through on his promise to challenge fighters across the globe, notably squaring off against the towering wrestler Hugo, a former Mad Gear gang member. The matchup serves as a clear nod to the iconic real-world WrestleMania 3 showdown between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. Alex would then later cross paths with Ryu. Their encounter is brief but revealing. Ryu recognizes in Alex a potential kindred spirit, raw power tempered by a restless drive. In Alex's ending, he doesn't return home as planned for a camping trip with Tom and his daughter Patricia. Instead, he sends Tom a letter explaining that he's found a new purpose: to grow stronger and be able to fight against and defeat Ryu. Yet it's not a battle between rivals, but one of mutual respect, and a quiet symbolic passing of the torch. Ryu, for his part, sees a man walking his own path, still searching for his purpose. Capcom has confirmed Alex's return with the year-free DLC of Street Fighter VI, but the context of his return remains unknown. Does he still desire to fight with Ryu? Was something else done to him whilst being experimented on by Fong in that Shadaloo base? Something that draws him into the Neo Shadaloo storyline, joining forces with characters like Ed and Falk in breaking from the chains of the past? Or could his inclusion signal the re-emergence of the secret society as a part of its Emperor's grand prophecy? Whatever the case, Alex has always been something of a reluctant protagonist, not chosen by fate, but pulled into it. Once he fought for revenge, then to challenge Ryu. But now, as old enemies resurface and new alliances form, will he finally fight for something greater than himself? Rashid first entered the Street Fighter universe as the protagonist in Street Fighter V, a whirlwind of energy, gadgets, and breezy charm. He has the ability to command the very winds themselves, though many speculated that his powers come from some sort of tech worn upon his person. His character guide for Street Fighter V, however, confirms he can control them like it was second nature, and his latest design shows even fewer places which could generate the winds he uses. So if anyone knows where Capcom officially stated that Rashid uses gadgets to control the wind, do let me know. I'd be interested to know where it's stated. On the surface, Rashid initially appeared to be comic relief, a rich, self-styled hero with a love for new technology and a smile. But that cheerful demeanor masked a deeply personal mission: the search for a missing friend caught in the web of Shadaloo and its shadowy experiments. Following days with no word from his friend, a mysterious package arrives, containing a chess piece. Rashid begins to worry. Alongside his loyal servant Azam, he sets out to find his friend, crossing paths with other fighters around the world, learning more about himself, and Azam, who it turns out is longtime friends with Zangief. His most notable encounter, though, is with Ryu, whom he wishes to test his abilities against. If he can go toe-to-toe with Ryu, he feels, then he can face any challenge. He's given the coordinates of Ryu's whereabouts by Crimson Viper, who he knows under her alias Maya, but when he finds him, Ryu seems somewhat distracted, though he eventually agrees to fight. Rashid is defeated, but he learns more about himself in the process, something that drives him to continue the search for his friend. But in that search, Rashid is swept into a global crisis, one tied to Shadaloo and the Black Moons, satellite weapons designed to plunge the world into chaos and feed M. Bison's psycho power. His journey leads him to a hidden Shadaloo base, too late to save his friend, who has already been silenced by Fong, though he does not yet know that. Upon arriving at the base, he meets a young girl, Li Fen, who appears to have been abducted by Shadaloo. After showing her a photo of his friend, she points him deeper into the facility. But as Rashid closes in, Fong blocks his path, knocks him unconscious, and takes Rashid's chess piece in order to trigger one of the Black Moons over New York City. Rashid somehow escapes and later arrives in the devastated city, meeting Guile, Chun-Li, and Cammy. He attempts to talk with the fighters, but the encounter turns tense when a resurrected Charlie Nash appears, who is after a separate piece that had been delivered to Guile. Rashid snatches the piece from Chun-Li and flees, annoyed that he could only retrieve the one piece. He makes his way to an underground arena in Russia, where he and Azam patiently wait for someone. Nash unexpectedly arrives too. It seems that both fighters have been receiving information from the same mysterious informant, who now reveals herself to be Helen, an alias for Colleen, personal assistant to Gill of the Secret Society. Another fighter, Jury, then arrives, who Helen has also hired to help. She proposes an uneasy alliance in order to stop Bison and end the Black Moons, before the chaos that would follow their use empowers Bison further. Helen also notes that several hackers who were recently reported as missing are involved in the Black Moon's design. She confirms one of them as Rashid's friend. Before he can question Helen further and uncover her true identity, Urian, whose experiments led to Nash being resurrected, appears in order to test Nash in combat. Urian defeats him and is seemingly about to kill him, but Rashid intervenes. Though disgusted that a commoner would touch him, Urian calms down and leaves, noting he will be watching with some amusement. The war against Shadaloo has begun, and Rashid joins the unusual coalition of fighters in order to stop their plans. Traveling to Japan, Rashid confronts Karin Kanzuki in order to acquire more pieces, but fails to gain her trust, having had so rudely entered her home. With time running out, he and Nash instead decide to infiltrate Shadaloo's base, even though they have not acquired all of the pieces. While Nash seeks vengeance against Bison, Rashid focuses on disabling the Black Moons. Inside, he runs into Karin, Ibuki, and Armika, also there to stop the Black Moons from being used. But they are attacked by a group of Shadaloo soldiers, and Rashid is forced to throw his pieces to Karin before being sealed off from them. While escaping the base with Azam, he finds Nash seriously wounded. As he recounts the story about his friend, the feral ancient warrior Nikali appears and gives chase. Rashid, Azam, and Nash make a narrow escape by leaping aboard Karin's helicopter. Back at the hideout in Russia, Helen plays a voice message that she is somehow intercepted, sent by the child Rashid had met earlier at the Shadaloo base, Li Fen. The message is a riddle meant for Rashid alone. He deciphers it and returns with Nash to Shadaloo's facility. Once there, Rashid discovers the control panel for the moons, but is ambushed by Mars, one of Bison's dolls, a group of brainwashed assassins and bodyguards who have been enhanced with psychopower following the use of the Black Moon. After knocking her unconscious, he enters the deactivation code set by his friend, Rashid of the Turbulent Wind. However, Fong arrives and is surprised to find that the Black Moons can still be shut down after initialization. In a venomous clash, Fong reveals that he has already killed Rashid's friend, causing him to fly into a violent rage and attack. Believing that he defeated Fong, Rashid turns his back on him, a big mistake, as he is quickly attacked again from behind with a poison strike. Fong starts to mock him, but then sees the device used to control and power up Bison was destroyed in their encounter. As Fong attempts to reactivate the moons, Mars, now free from any mind control, intervenes. Rashid rises and distracts Fong, allowing Mars to tackle him off a ledge, both vanishing below. Wounded but unbroken, Rashid fends off the remaining Shadaloo soldiers, ensuring his friend's plan succeeds. The Black Moons are shut down. As Bison falls to Rio, the Shadaloo base crumbles, and Rashid watches the end unfold, clearly carrying the weight of his loss. Then a final message plays from his friend, a recording programmed to be sent once the Black Moons were deactivated. She congratulates him, her voice full of warmth and pride. By the time of Street Fighter VI, Rashid has stepped into a different spotlight. Now as streamer and vlogger, he documents his adventures, entertains fans, and casually travels the globe, even fighting with Ryu once again. Rashid mentions that following their fight, there was a brief moment where he considered whether he too should walk the warrior's path. But in classic Rashid fashion, the moment quickly passes. He laughs it off, returns to the wind, and continues embracing the now, this time with his brand new drone. In World Tour mode, Rashid meets the Avatar, i.e. the player, in Nashal, where he is continuing to film his fights for FoodTube. There, he recounts his upbringing, his father's teachings, as well as how his servant Azam taught him how to fight. It turns out that as a child, he was a strong fighter, and so he didn't take his training seriously. Not until Azam brought another of his students, Rashid's cousin, to fight him. Rashid lost hard, hurting his pride. But he learned a valuable lesson. With a heart filled with arrogance, you will never find true strength. In a curious moment, Rashid later mentions that his ancestors had a troubled history, and it seemingly has to do with the secret society. Once rulers of a large kingdom, it was obliterated by another tribe whose members were of fair skin with golden hair, who flew banners split equally of red and blue. We've seen this equal split of colours on the emperor of the secret society Gill, and despite him and his brother Urian seemingly originating from somewhere around the eastern Mediterranean, they have been shown to have fair skin and hair. In the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, Urian is even said to have fair skin, which darkens when he hardens it. But one thing is clear, Rashid has a connection to Street Fighter's lore that goes beyond his history with Shadaloo. Adding to the mystery, Rashid sends a message to the player in World Tour, specifically asking about the colours of Nashal's flag, red and blue. It's a minor detail, but knowing how Street Fighter loves to bury hints in plain sight, the question raises eyebrows. Red and blue are the symbolic colors of the secret society, of Gill, of fire and ice, of balance and control. Could Nashel have ties to the society? And could Rashid be circling closer to their orbit without realizing it? Only time will tell. Rashid and Alex were each introduced as main characters of their respective eras, but they couldn't be more different. Alex is a man of the people, grounded, reactive, driven by loyalty and personal stakes. He doesn't ask for the spotlight, it finds him, whether he wants it or not. His story is filled with physical conflict and quiet introspection. He begins as an outsider to the world of Street Fighter, only to discover he may play a larger role in the grand scheme of things, becoming involved with organizations like Shadaloo and the Secret Society. Rashid, by contrast, is a man of movement, fast-talking, tech-savvy, and always looking towards the future. Where Alex initially resisted the unknown, Rashid has always leaned into it. He joins the global fight, not for vengeance, but to solve a mystery and save a friend. He never seems burdened by destiny, yet hints of a darker legacy surround him. His ancestors' conflict, perhaps with the Secret Society, his personal run-ins with Shadaloo, the colours of Nashel's flag that intrigue him so. All these suggest Rashid may be more entangled in this hidden world than even he realizes. Their contrasting personalities also shape how they relate to others, especially Ryu. Ryu's encounters with both characters serve as quiet checkpoints in their development. In Alex, Ryu sees a fellow warrior on the brink of discovery, a younger version of himself. In Rashid, he sees a free spirit, but one who might need grounding before he's swept away by forces he doesn't fully understand. And that leads us to the present. Both Alex and Rashid are poised to play a larger role in Street Fighter 6 and beyond. Rashid is already there, part of the modern era, still seeking answers and purpose. Alex's return could signal a continuation of his personal arc, or something much larger. With Neo Shadaloo growing, and the Secret Society still lurking in the background, these two characters could be standing on the sidelines of an invisible war, or perhaps right in the center of it. Neither started out wanting to be heroes, but in a world teetering between old powers and new awakenings, they might not have a choice. The world of Street Fighter has always turned on the legacy of giants, the noble warrior's path of Ryu, the pursuit of justice and revenge in Chun-Li and Guile's mission to topple Shadaloo. But with the old fights fading into memory, a new generation rises beneath its long shadow. Whether they can ever replace the old guard remains to be seen. Rashid and Alex aren't just would-be successors to Ryu and the old era of world warriors. They're signs of a world shifting beneath the surface, heralds of what's coming next. One drifts with the wind, chasing answers with a smile. The other stumbled upon the path of the warrior, pulled by fate into a world he's yet to fully understand. Together they represent two sides of the same question. In the ruins of yesterday's battles, what does it mean to be a hero now? For Alex, when the people he cares about are in danger, stepping forward isn't a choice, it's instinct. He doesn't seek glory, he seeks clarity and truth. A future where he finally understands his own strength and what he's meant to do with it. Rashid moves with the wind, but winds can change. The man who once joked through each battle now finds himself pulled towards deeper currents. A friend lost, and now a troubled past and an ancient enemy. For all his levity, Rashid may be standing at the edge of something far bigger than he realizes. In a world of would-be emperors and fractured empires, both men may soon have to decide whether they'll simply survive the next great conflict, or help shape what comes after it. If you enjoyed this dive into the stories of Rashid and Alex, drop the video a like, and subscribe for more themed character lore. Let me know in the comments, where do you think Alex and Rashid are headed to next? Will their paths cross in Street Fighter 6, or are they fated to stand on opposite sides of the storm? Until next time, be excellent to yourselves and one another, and I'll see you soon.